Hey guys, thank you for visit. This video is react about the day after with Senator Barbara Boxer Pipe Chelsea. Please see the full react videos and follow me. Now that
So, the election's over, and obviously the result is not what I was hoping for. So, I think today's show is going to be a little different for all of us because, like a lot of people in this country, I'm sad, I'm disappointed, and I'm confused. But if Hillary can make it through a concession speech, then I can make it through a stupid television show. So, I'm going to. And I'm taking her lead. She said we can do it, so I'm going to do it for every woman out there. And luckily, I have someone here also who I admire, who's dedicated a big portion of her life to public service, and who is much smarter than I am, and she can speak to the election and talk to us all about where we go from here. So please welcome my friend, Senator Barbara Boxer. Okay, so maybe we should start with, let's start with a clip from Hillary's concession speech.
I know how disappointed you feel because I feel it too. And so do tens of millions of Americans who invested their hopes and dreams in this effort. This is painful, and it will be for a long time. But I want you to remember this. Our campaign was never about one person or even one election. It was about the country we love and about building an America that's hopeful, inclusive, and big-hearted. I still believe in America, and I always will. And if you do, then we must accept this result and then look to the future.
So, what happened?
Well, my heart's on the floor. And I think the first thing to do when something like this happens is admit that. And so we have to look at that. And the next thing we have to do is what you just did when you introduced the video and you said, if Hillary Clinton can stand up and say, this is painful, and you could hear in her throat, holding back the tears, but we need to move forward. And that's it. That's what life is about. That's what we are taught. That it's not, where you are when you're high and doing great. It's when you fall down. And what do? A lot of us are on the ground right now. But I have lived a little bit longer than you in the audience here. And I have learned how painful politics can be. But that doesn't mean you run away. It means you pick yourself up, as the president said, and you fight even harder for our country. Because it's ours. It's ours. And yes, you're exactly right. The bottom line here is, as Nancy Pelosi always says, my friend, politics is not for the faint of heart. You're going to be burned. I ran in 1972, I was 30-something. And I was so excited and I was doing great. And there was a primary and I won it. And then the general, I thought I'd win it. It was a local office, Chelsea, and I went door to door, knocked on the door. Hi, I'm Barbara Boxer. I'm running for county supervisor. Can I count on you? And a woman opens the door and she says, I could never vote for you. I said, why? She said, first of all, I never thought you'd be so short. Well, what was I going to do about that? And then she said, but the main reason is you have 4 kids and you're going to neglect them when you go to be a county supervisor, which was a part-time job 7 minutes away from my house. And the guy who held the office had 2 kids and a full-time job. So I said, well, whoever told you I had 4 kids? I only have 2 kids. And she said, no, I read it. You have 4 kids. I said, lady, when you give birth, you never forget. And I only did it twice. These are the things I faced. And I lost that election. And there were horrible letters to the editor. And Richard Nixon won in a landslide. And believe me, talk about hard on the floor.
Chuck, get away, please. Yeah. I'm sorry. This is so inappropriate. Somebody grab him.
Doesn't bother me.
No, I know, but it's really important, and we shouldn't have brought him out here today.
I don't mind it. It's a nice change from the conversation.
Yeah, actually.
But, so Richard Nixon won that race. It was dark times. And I'll tell you quickly how I dealt with it. I was just a mess because I thought, oh my God, they didn't like me, you know, they voted against, what did I do wrong? And two things picked me up. One, I read an article by Gloria Steinem, and she said, women take it all too personally. We just have to understand, maybe we're a little ahead of our time, don't give up. And secondly, my then 7-year-old son, who is now taking care of me, and he said, Mom, will you make me a peanut butter jelly sandwich for lunch? Which signaled to me that life goes on. So what did I do? I became a newspaper reporter and got to report on the guy who beat me, which was great revenge, and I got elected eventually to that office. But remember, Hillary got more votes than Donald Trump. Do you understand what that means? More, yes. And I take such solace in this as I pick myself up off the floor to know that more people said stronger together, that more people said we work better when we embrace each other and help each other, care about each other, than tear each other apart. But the Electoral College system is a bad system. It was set up so long ago. I wish we could change it. It should be. It's happened to us twice now.
Well, can we change it? How do we change it?
Yeah, you can change it. It's very complex.
Tell us.
All right, you would need a constitutional amendment. And to go through that is so complex. You have to pass it first in each state, and enough states do it. Got to pass it in the Senate and the House, and you know how hard it is to do that. So that's difficult. The second way is a way that someone I know, a big businessman actually in Silicon Valley, tried to get it done, which is to get each state to pass a law that says, regardless of anything else, they will throw all their electoral college votes to the person that gets the most votes nationwide. So in other words, in this case, let's take Utah, where it went for Trump, but if she wins the vote nationwide, they would throw the votes there. My feeling is this is a very, very, very long shot. So we need to pick ourselves up and double down on how we feel about this country. And we love it, and we are not giving it up. And that's as simple as it is. We are tested. We are tested every day, Chelsea, in our private lives. If there's an illness, if there's a divorce, if there's something gone bad, we are tested. This is a huge test for America. And I want to thank you for what you did. The millennials voted overwhelmingly for Hillary Clinton. Thank you, Chelsea, for your work. They did. Overwhelmingly. Almost every state, just a handful of states they didn't. And that's the future, isn't it? You know, it's the future.
I want to thank all the millennial voters who registered through our Rock the Vote thing. We registered something like 7,000 unregistered voters. So thank you guys for doing that and getting out there. Ultimately, last night, I mean, I know you're close with Hillary. You guys were related, right? Or are related. I don't know if relation expires. But have you spoken to her?
No, I did not want to speak with her at this point. I intend to actually sit down. I like to write. I have too much to say. And I want to think about it. So.
What, I know for a woman, as a woman, it feels so sexist. And I guess the message that I want to like spread out to other women is exactly what you're saying, is not to give up. Sorry, I hate fucking crying on camera, but is not to give up, because this is so important. And it's easy to say, throw in the towel and that we're gonna leave, or I'm gonna move to Spain, because I wanna move to Spain. I really, really wanna move to Spain right now. And everyone in my office is like, you have a responsibility, you have a voice, and you need to use it, and you have to be here. But when you're talking about stuff like the Electoral College, and we're talking about, you know, rules, just the language I think that he used in this candidacy, in my mind, should be, you know, that should disqualify somebody from being a candidate. If you're caught lying on camera 3 times in a row, if you're referring to a woman's genitalia, you know, like those are non-presidential things, unpresidential things.
How about never showing your tax returns, the only one in modern history? It's ridiculous.
How about, or paying taxes? How about starting to pay taxes?
Good point. Or how about paying the contractors that built your property instead of walking away and leaving them to sue you to get paid? But we just can't go back to the darkness.
No, I know. I
We
know.
have to go
right.
toward the light.
But to go towards the light, I want to be hopeful. I have to be hopeful. We all have to be
yes,
hopeful about
yes.
what could possibly could come from it.
Let me tell you. When you say, I want to leave, I want to go, of course, it's the flight syndrome. We fought, now we didn't win, so we want to fly away. That's just what the people who gave this hateful message want us to do. And we're not going to do it. We're not going to do it. Forget it. Because this country, with all of its flaws, and we know there are many flaws, it's the most hopeful place because of our Constitution, because we fight for a more perfect union. That's the preamble. You need to read it over and over and over again. Our founders, who had a lot of flaws, said, you know, in order to form a more perfect union, we established this Constitution. And that means, as Martin Luther King said, that the arc of history is long, but it bends towards justice. But it's long. It just doesn't go injustice here, now we're at justice. It just goes up and down and back and forth. We don't know where we will be in the scan of time of this nation, but we play a role. What I love about what you did is that you connected with people that were hard to connect to, and you made them understand that it's their responsibility and they need to take ownership. And once you do that, you can't just walk away. You're in it. You're in it to win it, and it may take time. But remember, when I got, speaking of the women's issue, when I got to the Senate in '92, there were only 2 women. We went to 6 out of 100. They called it the year of the woman. We did triple our numbers, but we went from 2 to 6. That was it. Now I think we're going to have 23. 23.
It was the year after Anita Hill testified, right?
Yeah. The only reason I won was because Anita Hill. Anita Hill, she put her whole life on the line to tell the truth about Clarence Thomas. And I hope you will read about this story. And as a result, her life has been so difficult. And he sat on the court. And because people saw at the hearings that Anita Hill, where she testified, they saw there were no women on the Judiciary Committee in the Senate, and then they saw only 2 women in the United States Senate. They said, okay, Barbara Boxer in California, we'll vote for you, even though Dianne Feinstein's running for the other seat. We'll just vote for 2 women, even though it's really hard to do it. And we became the first state in history, California, to elect 2 women to the United States Senate. So progress happens.
In some uplifting news, Kamala Harris won the United States Senate seat for California.
Yes, that's my seat.
Yeah.
I just talked to her, and I said, you were the bright spot in my life. And a couple of other great women are coming. So she will be the first, she's
the second African-American woman,
second
right?
African-American. She's part Indo-American. And then Tammy Duckworth from Illinois is Filipino. And then Mastow in Nevada is Latina. So, yeah, we really have a great group. And Maggie Hassan pulled it off in New Hampshire.
Thank you for watching. Please subscribe.